This is Dr. Young, and I'm going to go over your week 2 work. Wait a minute, let me just go over here. Please make sure that you read this announcement I posted as you start thinking about this week and doing your discussions. I think I did post it, but if not, I will. Yeah, please review this because there's some issues, like there's some questions that have been coming up as far as students not understanding the requirements for discussions. This goes over it very clearly. So refer to this when you're not sure. And let me just give you some advice for this class. What happens a lot, and I've noticed, is students will rely on their papers and then kind of shortchange their discussions, forget to post on time. Not post in enough time for me to respond so that you can respond to my post. You lose points easily with discussions. And so what happens is, students are depending on those big papers, and then in the end, honestly, the discussions could have helped you pass the class or got the next letter grade up or whatever. So, I would make sure you're following all of these requirements each week, because that will, if you have a bad paper, then this will save you. I just finished up a class where that was the case. I had a student that was two points away from the next grade up, and that would have easily been resolved had she followed the requirements each week for discussions. That would have been made up. So I'm just putting that out there for you. I mean, I obviously can't, tell you what you're going to prioritize, but I'm just saying. And I don't, this is the thing. What happens is, we're points away. A student's telling me they need a B to pass. I mean, you earn what you earn. So that's, I don't pad grades. I don't bump up grades at the end. I don't do that because that's not ethical. So just make sure that you're doing this and, follow the instructions on this video. That right side of the rubric is where you want to be. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I hate it. I'm honestly, as an instructor, I'm not working against you, but I have to be fair. I have to be impartial, and I don't like having to do that. Honestly, I don't like having to be the bearer of bad news, or I don't want to fail students. I'm not out to get anybody. So I'm just putting that out there for you because I do want you to do well in this class. So, having said that, I'm going to go to week 2. I'm going to go to we're going to talk about emotional intelligence, persuasion, and personal skills this week. And emotional intelligence, if you go to the job, World Economic Forum, there's the jobs of the future. What skills will you need? Well, you'd be surprised the shift in that, where creativity and emotional intelligence are going up the chart, and more repetitive skills are going down, because who's going to do those things? Computers, robots, AI. So I would spend more time on that because that is a skill that will become more and more in demand. Okay. So I've already discussed this. You look at this and get the requirements for your discussions as far as kind of what they're looking for in content. I know you know how to do that, so I'm not going to go over that again. But you are going to do some research on emotional intelligence. You're going to just go to the library and conduct some research on EI, just the little emotional intelligence. They just call it EI, just like AI, EI. Now we're going to get all confused with all the initials here. But anyway, select a leader and analyze his or her emotional intelligence. There are some really great books on that topic. You might want to take a look at that as well. There should be you should be able to find some in the SUO library, but there also, there's lots of great resources online for it. Okay, so you have to know the areas of emotional intelligence, and you're going to talk about basically what competencies does this leader that you've chosen have in each of the areas. So 500 to 600 words that summarizes your findings and analysis. And then you want to just make sure to include these points in that. Sorry, just messed that up. I didn't really want to do that. There we go. You just want to summarize. You want to include these points in the summary. So, just a brief description of your kind of a background on EI, what you've learned, or EI or resident leadership as a result of your initial research on the topic, which is where you're starting. And then you're going to talk about your leader, your chosen leader, and their examples of the behavior that demonstrate those competencies. A definition of a resident leader, and whether you consider the leader you've chosen to be a resident leader and why. And then what you've learned about emotional intelligence, kind of summarize, because you're going to introduce it and tell me something about it in the beginning, and then you're going to kind of at the end wrap it up in a summary and what you learned from your leader. So that's really all. And here's some of your competencies you're going to talk about. Okay, so for your next assignment, you had to identify your team last week. So you had to talk about the role, your leadership style, and the change that you want to bring to the team. So this week, you're going to kind of continue that. So after, since you did that last week, you're going to talk about, go back to those observations you made and examine your team. And you're going to consider emotional intelligence. So you're just building upon what you've done last week. So let's just kind of go back there and look at that, just to refresh our memory. So for that last project, you started the team. You've selected a team. You basically talked about your role. How do you interact with the people on the team? So that was really just establishing it. So now you're getting into more detail. So the detail that you want to talk about is emotional intelligence. Kind of how does that work on the team? How does the leader handle that? How does the team handle it? If you took all of the individuals in the team and talked about their emotional intelligence, what would be a kind of a blanket description of that? Are there issues there? How can they be enhanced? And then give examples. So just, you're really analyzing this emotional intelligence just for the leader and the team as a whole, as a unit. All right, and then you have to talk about communication styles, which you're choosing one of these and then giving me examples of why, of how they practice that or espouse that type of style. And then you're going to think of 2 different team members in the team and describe their communication style. And then talk about who, is there a more dominant style on the team? And then how does the leader's communication influence the team members or affect them? And then philosophy and style. So is it theory X or theory Y that you feel seems to be more prevalent on the team and by the leaders? And then if you were a leader, or if you are the leader, what type of style would you adopt between these 3? And then what actions would help enhance leadership style in the team? So those are the things you want to talk about. 3 to 4 page paper. Does not include title or reference page. Make sure that your responses and everything has research. If you look at the rubric for your papers, you will see that each section requires you to support it with research. So that's what I would do in each section. You need to support it with some type of research. This is a heavy research-based course. Actually, most of them are at this level. So that's really all we have for this week. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know, and have a great week. Thanks for listening.